Hello. Welcome to Bethel Baptist Church. Today is March 1st, 2020. We had 4 people baptized today who shared their faith in Jesus Christ and followed in believers' baptism. Please watch and be blessed with this wonderful time that we had as a church.
Yeah, I'll give a quick testimony. Before I found the church, I wasn't raised any kind of Christian. I had a slight concept of God, and I dealt with substance abuse growing up, and kind of got introduced to God through a 12-step program, and it worked wonders in my life, and it changed my life drastically for the better. And as time went on, though, I still struggled with sin, and I struggled with something in my heart that was telling me I didn't quite have it, and I had a slight grip on it, but it wasn't all there. And when I met Ricky, he started telling me about the gospel, and it was at a point in my life too where I was really living in sin and had a heavy soul and a pretty icy heart at the time. And I didn't know if it was the truth. I had a feeling there was something to it and that there was something there. And he invited me to go to the church, and I said yes, and started reading the gospel and started trying to understand what the words meant and what the stories meant. And it started to hit me. It was like, all right, something's happening here that I can't quite explain. And then I talked to Norman, and he just told me, he was like, pray and just ask Christ to enter your heart, and if it's real, to let you know. And he did, and it changed me, and I found that I couldn't do the same things anymore, and that I was changing, and it wasn't me who was doing it. And at that point, I knew it was the truth. And I said, I have to give my life to this. So, and I'm not always perfect and fall short sometimes, but changing every day and getting better, and Christ has definitely entered my heart, and I'm ready to walk with him in this. So
Amen. Yeah. You use my arm to help yourself back up, okay? Upon your public profession of your faith in the Savior, I baptize you, my brother, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Buried in the likeness of his death, raised in the likeness of his resurrection, to walk in the newness of life.
Amen. Amen. I did to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back.
Thank you all so much for coming today. I could probably take 2 hours telling this story, but I won't. I grew up my whole life in church, hearing people say things about Jesus and reading the Bible and going to Sunday school and in church 3 times a week at minimum, from the womb. And growing up, there were times where I said prayers or wanted to believe things were true, but it was never personal for me. It was a lot of stories and a worldview option that wasn't my own. And I went to church out of habit once I left home. And there were times where I felt like I was starting to get it and maybe agreeing with it, but never really had a moment where I really gave my life to God or to Christ. And there were times out in the wilderness, and a lot of them literally. I was in the army, and I thought I was going to Afghanistan. I got sent to Egypt instead, which is kind of a lot of biblical irony. I ended up in Egypt,
Yes.
and I was struggling through a lot of things, and my life was not anything like what I had wanted it to be or planned it to be. and I was empty inside and broken and looking for a lot of things. I got out of the army, went to college, and no matter how far we feel like we are from God, He's always there. And He always brings the people and the circumstances into our lives that we need to grow, to learn and to change, but it's always a personal decision, the way that we're going to respond to God working in our hearts and in our lives. And it was every time God kind of gave me that ultimatum in my life, I chose to go my own way until I came to a point in my life where I had nothing left. And it was spiritual things, but I was studying things in college, and my Philosophy 101 class, we spent at least a month talking about philosophical arguments for the existence of God. I did an art history class, and we were studying ancient art, and when it gets to the Christian period, the entire Western imagination was completely captivated by Jesus Christ. And up until that point, I had kind of written it off as a bunch of stories that really didn't mean anything. And going through college, I had to kind of reassess my rejection of those things and really consider Christianity has 2,000 years of intellectual history and incredible titans of intellect that were Christians that held their faith very, very seriously. And so this is not just a story for dumb people who can't understand science. It's not something for people who want to just comfort themselves with the fact that at some point they're going to die. This is the truth. This is human existence, and Jesus Christ is the only hope that this world has. It's the thing that our culture is missing right now. It's the thing that people need in order to be whole. It's what I needed to be saved and to be made what God wanted me to be. There was such a drastic change. I came to a point in my life where I realized this is the truth and it's what I need in my life. And I'm the ignorant one if I walk away from this. And God is so good that even through all of my rebellion and rejection, as soon as I was willing to admit that I was wrong, He was there. Amen. And He's taken me back for all of my brokenness and failures.
Amen.
God is so faithful.
Amen.
And I'm just so grateful to be here today. So,
Amen.
Amen.
Upon the public profession of your faith in the Savior, I baptize you, my brother, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, buried in the likeness of His death, raised in the likeness of His resurrection to walk in goodness and life. I
have decided to follow Jesus.
Every day. And I guess they say that's close to sainthood. But it's not. Nicole, have you asked the Lord Jesus Christ to save you? And you believe that He's forgiven your sin?
Yes.
So your desire today to give your heart to follow Him?
Yes.
Upon your public profession of your faith in the Savior, I baptize you, my sister, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Buried in the likeness of His death, raised in the likeness of His resurrection to walk in the midst of life.
Hi guys, I'm Evan. When I was 7, I was laying in my room with Jerry, Zach. It was me, Jerry, Zach, Paul, and Ben. I struck up a question of I never got to meet. I never got to meet my grandpa. And I asked Paul where grandpa was. He said grandpa was in heaven, but I asked him what if grandpa was never saved. He said that if you could see that you spend eternity in hell. I asked God that day to be my father, and I know that He saved me, and I thank you that God did.
Amen.
Upon your public profession of your faith in the Savior, I baptize you, my brother, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Buried in the likeness of his death, raised in the likeness of his resurrection to walk in newness of life. I have decided